consumption values is projected to reach about 3.2 trillion in 2024. We still remember on March 2020, WHO characterized COVID-19 as a pandemic. This declaration has an impact on the increased risk of slowing down global economy. Restrictive movements in many countries, including in Indonesia, of course, causes a hurt for many businesses, such as airline, tourism, restaurant, and even retailing. Accordingly, it is important to note how the consumer trend in Indonesia affected by COVID-19. Based on the survey data collected by McKinsey on June 2020, it's about 40% of Indonesian consumers are optimistic about quick economic rebound, a sentiment that has remained stable over the last month. Although consumers feel slightly less impact on their livelihoods, they remain cautious about their spending. For instance, becoming more mindful of how they spend their money, looking for ways to save money and trading down. I hope we don't like this. The survey also indicated the strong shift to purchasing via online channels is expected to prevail even once COVID-19 subsides. With close to 60% of consumers having tried a new digital shopping method, most Indonesians are waiting for milestones beyond the release of government restrictions before engaging regularly in out-of-home activities. Consumers have adopted new low-touch alternatives to behaviors such as remote learning, telemedicine, online fitness, and wellness, which may last beyond the crisis. In line with the optimism of the consumers, Indonesia experienced net export reached about $1.6 billion in July 2020, the highest in the last 2 years of non-haram product. The food products and beverage group's net export returned to a surplus after experiencing a deficit since early 2020.
Halal industry affected by the COVID-19. I think there's many of people have used this like a background. Of course, I'm not going to detail, especially what is the high impact. The high impact in tourism. Halal tourism also is not immune. Is also affected by COVID-19. How about the consumer behavior change or in impact of the COVID-19? This is also important study has been done with us. The first thing is, of course, the health safety concern. This is very important, especially for my fellow friend in Jakarta. Health concern is the first. Yeah, normal in Jakarta, you can really book a good hospital because the good hospital are fully booked, and due to the increasing of the number of cases. And the second things, in this research, sentiment about travel have been affected. 64% they are feeling unsafe to traveling. That's why no campaign on this. To face in this problem, we make a big campaign, especially how the tourism sector, all the sector related with tourism, are campaigning about the gain of confidence, how they make a use of practical one in the health protocol in the destination. Yes. And of course, there is also consumer behavior change in the tourism, the increasing of number activities that replace of tourism, like webinar, seminar, also television, YouTube, etc., etc. this affected by the COVID-19 recently. And also the important thing, some of the potential international arrival, they consider they don't want travel before the condition of COVID-19 in flattening curve or in what is called in decreasing significantly in this particular area or in destination. Mean they are not going to traveling without any safe and guarantee in terms of health protocol in this destination. That's why now still many of people, many of country, not really fighting but discussing about the travel restriction has been done by many countries, and also travel bubble between 2 or 3 countries surrounding or neighboring countries like Malaysia with Indonesia, New Zealand with Australia, and etc. This is a challenge and opportunity. When this pandemic will be end, no one knows. Wallahu alam bisawab. Or at least flattening the curves. That's why all government are trying to flattening the curves. Even government of Indonesia, especially Jakarta province or Jakarta city, also try to flattening curve because this is very important for livelihood of the Indonesians, especially in Jakarta or other provinces. Many scenario has been done and offered by university. Of course, there is pessimistic, there is optimistic, of course there are realistic. How about the vaccine? Of course, many of country has been really pushing the scientist community to have the faster is the better for the vaccine.
I'm sorry, Pak Sabta, but your time is 3 minutes left.
Yes, I have right 5 minutes, Chairman, right?
All right.
Vaccine, yes, like Pak Priyono has 20 minutes, why not 15 minutes, okay? Now, because it is important, the vaccine is now in Indonesia still online to be promoting in next January, okay? And this is a challenge also for the vaccine. The number 3 is how about the tourism itself? UNWTO in other webinar, World Travel Tourism Council, World Tourism Forum, dinner standard, they recommend only just 3. Of course, the important one is local tourists. That means local is Jakarta to Jakarta, and domestic tourist is Jakarta to Bandung or Jakarta to Lombok. This is a more important and famous strategy according to me, because it's subtahelic. It's not helix, but it's subtahelic. Okay? One behavior change, have been mentioned the behavior change. And the important thing from this behavior change is government policy and action plan to reopening the destination. First thing, start local. Second thing, for domestic. When? Then we start the local first and still have to be under the protocol, health protocol. And number 3, the health protocol should be integrated in 3 areas. Plus is of course accessibility should be should be under the control of the health protocol. Second is amenities and of course the attraction itself. This is number 4. Number 5 is about new investment. You can see new investment in IT, in R&D, new business model needed also, and of course share responsibility between government or stakeholder and also the customer itself. That should be integrated in the one strategy in order to resolve or to revive this tourism in the what we call the pandemic era.
The principles of halal are constantly being readapted to face the changes and the challenges posed by constant change in society. Globalization, for example, has imposed certain challenges. For example, a lot of halal food is produced in non-Muslim countries. So we outsource it from these countries. And there are many things we have to look into this. Also, the trend to keep low-cost products in the market is damaging not only the quality of the product, but the quality of employment. But the demographics are there, and I would say that Muslims are about 24% of the world's population, so they still have a lot of influence and a lot of power as consumers. So there's a big drive for the halal market in this population. So much cash in their hands, they're able to become financial actors, and they are kind of concentrating financial power. So we also have to look into this, because they will, you know, the big fish eats the small fish. So we have to be careful that they don't kill other smaller businesses. So for example, Gojek started a few years ago, but now it's valued $9 billion. So it's probably the biggest company in Indonesia, and also Grab in Malaysia is a huge company. They move so much business, not only delivering people, delivering goods, but also because they handle a lot of cash. So these two emerging trends, particularly Q-commerce, is going to have a very high impact on us. So we have to move to the next slide. In conclusion, we have to keep an eye on this trend. We cannot stop progress and change, that's a fact, but we have to minimize the negative impacts. So we can favor the consumption of halal goods, which is one of the good points of Q-commerce. But as consumers, we have to demand that some ethical aspects of the value chain are implemented and respected. For example, the quality of employment. In Spain, people who deliver goods using these Q-commerce platforms, they're called the riders, and they ride bicycles, but they're very poorly paid. And we have to keep an eye that they're fairly treated as part of the value chain. Also, I think in Europe, it's an opportunity for Muslims to start their own businesses using commerce platforms, Q-commerce or e-commerce, because the cost of setting up the business is relatively low, and then they can gain a lot of visibility, which they will not do in the mainstream shops on the street. And also, I would like to say that Indonesia has a good opportunity here to invest in Europe, and especially to establish partnerships to ensure food sovereignty and the integrity of the halal chain.
Islamic fashion, especially in current times, this is a time more than ever to remember that we are indeed Muslims. And when the mandate came down for all of our guidelines and principles, it was sent down for all times, not just good times. It was sent down for challenging times. It was sent down for time with your family, time with your business. And we are meant to embrace that wisdom, especially in a time like this. Next slide. So I think inadvertently, my organization, the Islamic Fashion and Design Council, a platform that I had founded and developed close to 7 years ago now, it's amazing how time flies. We became revolutionary really in what we were doing, because the whole idea was to support and develop the industry and the industry players. And whilst that remains at the forefront of everything we do, and the importance of the industry players leads to the importance of the actual global market, which is coveted, and it's a very important market to all, not just the Muslim industry players, but also the non-Muslim ones, as we've seen over the years, who have eagerly come into our space. But the revolutionary side of it is that we are probably the only ones in the fashion and lifestyle sector that have held on very strongly to our values-based principles. And we reflect that in everything we do, whether it's what we design, whether it's the artwork that we choose, whether it's the way we style and wear. Everything that is about us as Muslims is reflected in our craft and our art. So what it means to be Muslim in today's era is probably more important than ever before. Today, you are asked to be Muslim by all standards and through all the wisdom that you have acquired through your deen. You are asked to uphold it today more than ever, to reflect it in your business, to reflect it in your ideas, to reflect it in the disruption that only you can come up with to resolve the challenges of today's time. I have nothing but good news to share for you. And that is that we are here, and we remain strong and firm in our abilities to build and rebuild wherever our businesses require it, wherever our home lives require it, and our social lives require it. And in our particular case, all of them culminate together in some way or other through the fashion narrative. Next slide. And I urge you and implore you, my brothers and sisters who are listening right now, this is a time more than ever that our Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, may Allah's peace and beautiful blessings be upon him. All that he had taught us, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, is what is the most important thing for us to live by today. And if we don't live by sound ideology, we will certainly sink, because certain times are made for the not so stable to sink, and other times, or maybe the same times, are made for a more stronger foundation human being to rise. And I pray that we all rise together and we become an example during this pandemic to show people how one does remain firm and how one does get through it through creative thinking, incredible skills, wisdom that is beyond us, and to display that wisdom in the most humble way, acknowledging that it does not come from us, is the key to our success today. Next slide. So what we know is that we are the people of a certain type of ilk, a certain type of value system. That is the value system that even started the entire modest fashion industry. Remember, modest fashion is primarily led by the demand of the growing Muslim population. Our youth is growing twice as fast as any other youth population in the world. Now, please reflect on that. That means that we have a job not only to train and teach and raise and develop our youth in the light of Allah, but to help them to use that knowledge to get through all facets of their life. Today, we're talking about the business of Islamic and modest fashion and lifestyle products within the global market space in a challenging time when spending has entirely stopped in some areas and surprisingly picked up in other areas. So let's pick that apart. Let's look at this from a very critical perspective, and then let us redesign and reformulate our game plan and let us fit into it with the knowledge that we've been given. That knowledge was not done in vain. That knowledge was brought to you and sent upon you so that you can use it in times like this and be the most effective leaders in your own space.
Why don't we bring our local product to the global? For hopefully, if we do that, we can help other people to become also sustainable. There is a lot of a phrase and a lot of example that it take crisis to form the tactic, and the fashion is also no exception. So when we have a crisis, we have a very we have become genius because there is a crisis. So some of the best design were born from struggle, including like the famous Coco Chanel and other big brand in the world, because the crisis and struggling, where we are thinking about a brilliant product that can change the lifestyle. Can we go? This is also, I will say, in the history, this is what I said before. We need to have wake-up call, and the wake-up call is now. Now is the wake-up call that we need to collaborate. We need to rethinking with what we're doing. If we're doing something hurting to others, including our planet or our neighbor or family. So it's very important in the fashion industry, as I said in the beginning, we have to work ethically. Let's go next. So I don't want to take a lot of time. The new trend, what is now is about online and sustainable. I think word sustainable is not only just a nice word, but is very important word. And everything now we can touch by online to make it easier and faster. And I know you know what I mean. Is technology. We need to use technology, and sustainable mean we need to balance. We cannot overuse in everything. Technology or everything, if you don't balance it, then it's not become sustainable. That's what I think is what should be now. And next, to become one of the world fashion destination, Indonesia have a dream to become one of the world fashion destination, especially modest fashion. And I think Indonesia is ready. Our fashion industry is ready to collaborate with the world. So small step make a big, huge difference. So I hope by sustainable, we can make a big difference in our industry.
We have noted some issues that we can conclude from our discussion today. First, we are realized that the pandemic COVID has an impact on the increased risk of a global economic recession in 2020, where trade volumes have decreased in line with a falling demand. Many countries are locked down or restricted movements on their citizens, which causes a halt for many businesses such as tourism, restaurant, and even retail, including Islamic fashion sector. Due to pandemic, tourism and finance are the most hurting globally. In nowadays, when one's traveling, they will first concern about the health protocols and facilities in the travel destination. There is also an effort of certifications in the travel destination to attract more tourists, as in ensuring tourists that their travel destination is safe by health protocols. Most affected sectors, aviation, hospitality, MSMEs, but many able to sustain by using online marketing strategy. Second, having the condition, consumers still have optimism and do some adjustment, including rise of the number activity online replacing halal tourism, with some transaction is facilitated with e-commerce. And today, Dr. Barbara introduced us about Q-commerce or quick commerce, such as Gojek. Quick commerce opens opportunity to halal outlets. Most of them are small outlets and the number is increasing. There is a potential for halal business to grow. However, if we implement halal quick commerce, the model of consumption will change, which will affect the value chain. And the existence of Q-commerce has an impact on social life, impact on employment, impact on environment and technological inclusion, technological exposure, and increasing financial power. For the future, we should be careful for the negative impact, particularly that ethical aspects of the value chain, be part of the productive side of commerce and establish partnership to ensure food sovereignty and integrity. Third, from the industrial perspective, some Sharia business players from Islamic fashion sector have tried a new strategy facing several challenges for changing demand and market. The pandemic urged halal fashion industry to stay true to the modest fashion according to the Islamic values while being creative in business. Indonesia has campaigned to make Islamic fashion sector to be more sustainable and become to be a halal lifestyle. Demand that ethical aspects of the value chain are implemented and respected. We have already done the initiation and we do hope that it will be a global campaign also in order to reach the sustainable development goals. And last, there are at least 7 recommendations that we can do. The first one is IT technology to ensure the health and safety protocols in tourist destination. Second one is marketing innovation to educate and attract local tourists and also to educate the local communities. The third, educate the tour operators and local government to create more outdoor activities in tourist destination. Fourth, how business should be innovative, inclusive, and ethical. Fifth, halal fashion industry should be emphasized on creativity, quality, and Islamic values and ethics. Sixth, halal fashion industry should also use technology to move forward. And seven, the effort could not be implemented partially. Close cooperation between the relevant institution and authorities, both domestic and international, is required to effectively implement strategy and programs. Thank you very much for your attention and participants. And inshallah, from now, we try to establish our new spirit, our new friendship, our new partnership, new optimism to enhance our power facing the new era together.